Eventually, I got held up at gunpoint managing a restaurant in the village. Got a gun literally to the back of my head like this. And to me, it's like somebody sending me a message. My life is posting, eating, drinking, filming all day, every day. You know how fat equals flavor?
Yeah.
Yeah, same on social media. They want to see fat. My dad said, learn the business. When you're ready to open your own restaurant, the money will be there for you.
And then you had a little for operating capital, but you had to build it out and everything, and then you changed the name and made it yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
And so that's why I copied to do Carmine's on Penn, and people thought I was crazy. They're like, what do you mean we can't get our own individual dishes? I'm like, that's not the concept. Our concept is family style.
Keep
We have
grinding.
to educate.
Keep moving
To educate. It was a new idea. Nobody'd ever seen it before. So I ended up traveling and practicing with the Avalanche.
That's amazing. That is a
I
great
scored
story.
off Patrick Waugh.
Really? That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, how
I mean,
it all
I'm pretty
just-
sure I'm the only person in the history of the Avalanche, non-Avalanche, to travel and practice with a team. The number one goal when I got out of the restaurant business, I didn't know what it was going to be, but I want that help restaurant. My life is posting, eating, drinking, filming all day, every day. So like today I have to get done about 10 Instagram posts. I already did my TikTok, and then I'm not visiting any restaurants, but like tomorrow we're visiting a new place by Peter Forsberg, Eggs Inc. at 9:30 in the morning. Then I'm filming 2 restaurants for CBS. I have a weekly segment on CBS every Friday night. So we're going to Cart Driver and then to the Bindery. And then we visit some clients, content, posting. Thursday I go to Boulder. I'm visiting like 5 restaurants, Boulder and Lafayette, filming, eating, drinking. We have a Boulder page, Ocean Eats Boulder. I have a kid up there who runs that page, and how I make a living is we run social media for restaurants. So I have 35 clients, I think.
Okay. Yeah, and how do you get more of your clients? How do you keep adding to them? Is it mostly word of mouth or?
Yeah, I really don't sell what we do. People see what we do.
And they find you from social media, I'm just assuming.
So like a lot of my visits, restaurants want me to they'll pay me or maybe trade to come eat. And then I say, by the way, for a living, I run restaurant social media. And I'll look at their page, and usually in 2 seconds I'll be like, yeah, these people need my help. And we have different levels of packages, depending on people's budgets. And I'm actually working right now on pivoting our business away from the minutia of posting, because we post 12 times a month for every client. And just, I've had clients like Piper in 6 years. It gets to be a grind, trying to come up with stuff after 6 years.
Yeah, so you'll set them up like kind of on a subscription-based model where you'll just keep them as a client and keep posting things. And do you do all of their social media marketing for them?
Yes.
Okay.
They don't ever do anything. They never have to look at their social media. They don't have to worry about it ever again. They're hiring adult professionals who all they do at restaurant social media.
Okay.
We're the only ones.
Where do you find the best, most popular posts and the stuff that gets the most traction? What kind of videos are those?
Well, you know how fat equals flavor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same on social media. They want to see fat.
Okay.
Yeah,
So explain that a little bit.
So salad will never move the needle.
Okay.
Will I post a salad every January? Keep your resolutions? Sure. But I know it's not going to do well.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see a salad on social media. Even a beautiful piece of fish will never move the needle like a burger dripping with cheese and fat.
Or a piece of pizza or something like
Or
that.
pizza.
Yeah. So, and I'm sitting here with Larry Hers today, a social media and restaurant promoter that almost has 1 million likes on TikTok.
Probably while we're sitting here, it'll get 1 million.
Yeah, that's amazing. You've been in here and you've promoted this business. You've tried our pizza. You've tried our crispy cocktails and everything. Tell me a little bit about your story and how you became an entrepreneur.
So I grew up on Long Island, and my dad had worked corporate, and then he transitioned into his own business, being a consultant. And he taught me, I remember in 7th grade, the only way to really be happy in life is to own your own business. And so in 7th grade, I started a candy business. He would take me to the warehouse, and we'd buy Fireballs and Bazooka and Twix, and I'd fill up a duffel bag and sell it because you couldn't sell it at school, sell it on the bus on the way to school. He made me keep a P&L. So inventory,
Really?
the
At
whole
7
thing.
years old, you were keeping
Seventh grade.
Seventh grade.
Seventh grade.
Okay.
13 years old.
Okay.
So I already had my first business at 13 years old, yeah.
Okay. So you were keeping a P&L and you were buying candy at the local, candy shop and then reselling it to other kids at school on the bus.
Yeah.
And were you making a nice little
Oh,
profit
yeah.
doing that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And would you pretty much do that every day?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a good business. I think eventually I got in trouble, and I think that was the end of that. But I always knew whatever I was going to do in my life, I was going to own myself. And even in college, I went to George Washington University in D.C., and there was no fraternity that I liked. So I'm like, I'll just start my own. I was a freshman, 18 years old.
And you started your own fraternity.
Yeah, we started with 57 founding fathers, and even by sophomore year, we got a house in D.C., which is not easy to get a fraternity house in D.C. And we took over that campus. We were the number one fraternity. Everybody wanted to be a part of it, and
Holy
I was
cow.
president, the first few years, and it absolutely was running a business.
Yeah.
You're talking about dues, let's say 100 members at 200 a semester. Start doing the math on that. You're dealing
Yeah.
with a lot of money and a lot of egos and personalities, and we would, have budgets, and we'd have to have meetings with Robert's Rules of Parliamentary Procedure. And then when I got out of college, I was a marketing major in college. The idea of I want to own my own advertising agency. And after I graduated with a marketing degree, the offers that I got were like $14,000 a year in New York City. Now I'm old, so this is 1988. I graduated college, and I'm like, my second dream was to own a restaurant. So I had a friend who worked at Tavern on the Green. Have you ever heard of Tavern on the Green?
I have not heard of Tavern on the Green.
So at the time, it was the largest and busiest restaurant in the world.
Okay, was it just one location? Or
One
did it have-
location.
and it was in New York City.
And they filmed a lot of movies there. So it's in
Okay.
Central Park.
Okay.
You've seen the Ghostbusters, like
Yeah.
the ghosts. They come into the crystal room, the main dining room, and you see them. They filmed Wall Street there. They filmed what else they filmed there? Anyway, so Arthur. So it's an iconic restaurant. In 1988, when I started working there, we were doing 26 million.
26 million out of that location
In
alone.
88, think about what that is today.
Yeah. Yeah, with inflation, that's, hundreds of millions of dollars.
It could
probably.
be.
Yeah.
We sat
Or close
1,200.
to. Yeah. 1,200 people.
Yeah, we had
What was the
5
square
dining
footage
rooms.
of that place?
Oh, no idea. It's
Just huge, I'm assuming.
I would
If you could
guess 20,000.
Wow.
The
Okay.
patio alone could seat 200.
Okay.
I mean, we had 6 dining rooms, and I started as a host.
I was just going to ask you, so you started as a host. Did you work your way up
I
inside
was
the
assistant
company?
maitre d'.
Okay.
I knew I wasn't going to move to anything really great there, and so then from there, the reason why I took that job, my dad said, learn the business. When you're ready to open your own restaurant, the money will be there for you. Well, you don't know what that really means, how much money, how much time, and what you got to learn. So I learned everything I was going to learn at Tavern. I knew they weren't going to move me up. So then I started looking for a manager job, and I got a job managing for a company called the Reese Organization in New York City, who invented the food court.
Okay.
Very
interesting.
They had 300 restaurants across New York City. On every corner there was like this KFC, Pizza Hut, Dunkin' Donuts. That was theirs. I worked for them at crappy restaurants like Beefsteak Charlie's, Bruin Burger, Lindy's. These are iconic back then New York City restaurants.
So you would manage multiple locations.
They
kind
would just
of.
move you around a lot.
Okay. And it was kind of the same type of concept or feel or processes or
Processes, yeah. They definitely were a good place to start, nuts and bolts, learning the business. They paid poorly. That's probably why they hired a 22-year-old kid to be a manager.
Yeah.
Because I would take that money. By
And then-
23, I was a GM, though.
Yeah. What would be most of your managerial roles within the company at that age?
Yeah, you're running the shift, you're running the floor, comps, voids. But you're
Would you
doing...
have to do the scheduling, the inventory, the ordering, all of that stuff
Yeah,
too?
no, I wasn't involved in kitchen back then. They would have kitchen managers. But certainly I had to do food and drink inventory every month. and it was, a very manual process, as it probably still is.
Yeah.
But it taught me the value of P&Ls and reading P&Ls and really nuts and bolts of restaurant business. So many people think in the restaurant business, like, I can cook, I can own a restaurant.
Right.
Like,
It definitely is a glamorous type of facade in owning a restaurant and having something that's yours and serving people and doing all those things. But a lot of people don't realize how much hard work, time, and effort that goes into it, and managing food costs and managing people and doing all those types of things. So where did you kind of go after that?
So kept bouncing around the city, and what I would do is, when I realized that I wasn't learning anymore, I would look for another job. So I became opening general manager of Fuddruckers. You remember Fuddruckers?
Yeah, I remember Fuddruckers.
All right, they're still around. Upper East Side, 91st and 3rd, at 23 years old. I had a staff of 100 and 4 assistant managers. In way over my head. Didn't belong there at all. Didn't have a clue how to manage that many people, how to delegate. But, they offered me the job, so I took it.
Yeah.
Everything's a learning experience. You learn, obviously, more from your failures than just successes. I kept, eventually got fired, deservedly so. The restaurant didn't belong in New York City. New York City is not going to support a Fuddruckers.
Yeah.
And somebody had to take the blame for it. And it eventually closed. They had 2 locations in New York City. They both closed.
How long were they in business for?
Not that long. 2-3 years.
How long did you work for the company before they gave you the can? Or they canned you?
A year, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just a mess. It was such a nightmare. But I learned, and then I kept going around the city. Eventually, I got held up at gunpoint managing a restaurant in the Village. I had a gun literally to the back of my head like this. And to me, that's like somebody sending me a message. Like, it's time to get out of here. And I had had a 1-bedroom apartment in Midtown, and I had bought it, and so I rented it out, bought a Jeep, and I knew one person who lived out in Denver. Do you know the name Adam Schefter?
Oh yeah, Adam Schefter, the big NFL analyst guy, and didn't he start? He started here in Denver, correct?
He started here in Denver, so we grew up together. We went to sleepaway camp together, as Jewish kids in New York do.
Okay.
We spent 2 months playing sports every summer, living up in upstate New York and chasing girls and playing on the lake, and that's what you do. And so I called him up. I said, "How's Denver?" He says, "Great." He'd been here a year at that point. So I drove out here, no job, no place to live. I had never visited. But, and he was nothing back then. He was like covering high school sports for the Rocky Mountain News.
Yeah, I thought that was it. Yeah, he worked for the Rocky Mountain News just as a journalist, right? And then he grew his company into where it is today, and now he's on ESPN pretty much all the time.
So he went from Rocky Mountain News, which closed, and then Denver Post, and then he became the Broncos head guy for the Post, and moved on to NFL Network, hired him, so he had to move back to New York City, and then ESPN took him from there, and now he's makes millions, and he's the #1 NFL insider, and I was a groomsman at his wedding. He was a groomsman of mine.
Okay.
We're still friends to this day, and so I came here, didn't know anybody. Figure, how New Yorkers think. Like, there we're a little fish in a big pond. Here we're a big fish in a little pond. I knew I could take over the city pretty quickly, and I managed a few restaurants around the city, and opened up my first restaurant at 27 years old. My dad came through with the money. I put together a business plan, showed him, and the numbers really made sense. My rent was $1,300 a month.
Oh, that's amazing.
Minimum wage was $7.75. Waiters were $2.01.
Yeah, I was just about to say how much were tipped employees. So they were $2.01.
$2.01.
Yeah, an hour.
I was paying my dishwasher $7, my cooks $10.
Was this in the early 90s?
So we opened in 94, yeah.
Okay. And then walk me through the process. Did you build out a restaurant? Did you buy an existing restaurant?
So I didn't, and probably still don't believe in building out your own restaurant. There was an ad in the newspaper, restaurant for sale, in the classified section. and they were asking like 18,000 for a turnkey restaurant,
Okay.
and I bought it for 14,000.
What kind of volume were they doing when you took a look at them?
I never looked at their P&L because I didn't care.
Okay.
I wasn't buying their business. I was just FF&E sale.
Okay.
So furniture, fixtures, equipment.
Yes. Yeah. Did you
and-
have to buy the inventory as well?
Yeah, I don't even remember. I don't think they had much of anything. If they
Okay.
did, they had a bar in the kitchen. So they had a liquor license, but they never built a bar. So they just had like booze in the kitchen. So the only major thing I had to do was build a bar.
Okay.
And so when I put together my business plan for my dad, I needed 75 grand to open this restaurant.
Okay. So you purchased it for 18,000,
Yeah.
and then you wanted to put in an extra, 57,000.
Well, you need, obviously you need.
And then you had a little for operating capital, but you had to build it out and everything, and then you changed the name and made it yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so I'd been here about 2 years at that point. I couldn't find just good, basic New York Italian food that you find on every corner of Manhattan or on Long Island. Every town has got a plethora of simple, where you can get, your meatballs, your lasagnas, and it's all delicious. And there was nothing. Like, people were like, go here, go there. And I kept visiting, like, these places. I'm like, really? You guys think this is good Italian food?
Yeah.
Like, nobody would eat this crap in New York. So I knew I wanted to do Italian, and I grew up eating at a restaurant on Long Island called La Parma, which did family style Italian. And this is long before Maggiano's. And so that's the restaurant I wanted to copy. And so that's why I copied to do Carmine's on Penn. And people thought I was crazy. They're like, what do you mean we can't get our own individual dishes? I'm like, that's not the concept. Our concept is family style. You have to bring more people. You can't come with 2 people. It doesn't work.
Okay.
So you have to bring 4, 6, 8, and then you're going to share dishes. And my waiters, after like the first week, were like, you got to change this concept. People are pissed. It's not going to work. I'm like, nah.
Just got to keep
We had
grinding,
to
keep moving
educate. We
forward.
had to educate. It was a new idea. Nobody had ever seen it before.
Yeah, so how did you build up your clientele base, and how did things go from the start? So did you get some pushback from your customers, and it sounds like your servers to start, but then it took a little bit of time? And
No,
tell me,
it took like a few weeks. Within 2 months, you couldn't get a table. We got, and it's funny to say this because it's so ironic. We were made by the critics.
okay,
Back then, the Post, the Rocky Mountain News, Westward, 5280 Magazine. If you got raves, you made it. If you got panned, you were not going to make it. And Bill St. John, I remember, basically said we were the best Italian restaurant Denver had ever seen. And from that moment on, you couldn't get a table. And we were a tiny place. It's still there. It's still a tiny place. We sat 60 inside, 40 on the enclosed patio. And we wouldn't take reservations on the enclosed patio, only on the inside. So we only have 60 seats. So we were shortly thereafter, it was 2 months to get a table. And then,
how would you set up your reservation system? So would people just call in and you would write it in a reservation?
all manual.
Yeah,
All manual
back then. And then how did you get the critics to come to your place and rate your restaurant? Did they just show up, or you didn't know they were going to be there?
No, no idea that they were there.
And they were just...
Back then, they did it. That's what they did. You
Yeah.
know, there weren't that many restaurants, and they would go to the new restaurant, and it's funny. They would call you after they came in because they wanted a little backstory for their article. So you knew they'd be like, "All right, your review's coming out Friday," but they wouldn't tell you anything about it. And then you don't sleep that night, and
Yeah.
you run to the newsstand and buy your newspaper, open it up, and you're like, "Oh shit, I'm going to be out of business," or "Oh shit, I better hire more staff."
But they gave you a raving review, right? off the start.
Every publication did, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And then so, were you able to make money right after your first year as you got things going?
First year,
Yeah.
first week,
First week you made money.
1,300 rent. Remember what I was paying for wages?
Yeah, wages were super cheap.
I mean, I made so much money so fast. I borrowed 75. Like I said, I paid my dad back in 6 months,
Wow, that's incredible.
and then we hit it with the celebrities. You probably don't. You're probably too young to know all this, but do you know a guy, Barry Fay?
Not familiar with Barry Fay.
So he was the concert promoter in this town.
Okay.
That's any concert, he was the promoter, big time, like famous guy. There are books about him. He loved food, so he said, let's make a deal. I'll give you whatever concert tickets you want. You let me eat here for free. All right. Next thing I know, he's bringing the Rolling Stones to the restaurant. Michael Bolton, Steve Miller from Steve Miller Band. So celebrities started going there. Then I met Pierre Lacroix, who was the GM of the Avalanche.
Yeah.
We actually met playing hockey together. And he goes, what do you do? I said, I own a restaurant. I go, what do you do? He goes, I'm the general manager. And you just don't think. Like, I was playing, this is out at the old McNichols. We were just screwing around on the ice. And he's like, all right, if your restaurant's any good, I'm going to send all the boys there. So he came that night. He loved it. Next thing I know, the Avalanche are coming every night when they were in town. And then the players loved the restaurant. So they said to me, we want you to cater our flights. We're going to tell Pierre. So Pierre goes, all right, the boys want you to cater our flights. How much will you charge me? This is crazy. I don't know why I said this, but I said, let me travel and practice with the team and give me playoff tickets, and we'll call it even. So I ended up traveling and practicing with the Avalanche.
That's amazing. That is a great
I scored
story.
off Patrick Roy.
Really? That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. How
I mean,
it all
I'm pretty
just-
sure I'm the only person in the history of the Avalanche, non-Avalanche, to travel and practice with the team.
Yeah, that's incredible. And it's amazing how your entrepreneurship journey started with a restaurant, and before you know it, you're hanging out with celebrities, you're flying on the Avalanche's plane,
Yeah.
you're feeding all the players,
Yeah.
and all of that stuff. And so it must have blossomed into something super successful. And then where did it take you from there?
So the crazy thing is that, making so much money, celebrities, everything's going great, but I was single.
Yeah, were you partying pretty hard too?
It's not really my thing.
Okay, that's good. Because I know a lot of restaurant owners, bar owners, or people that get into that phase, especially if they're in their 20s, can go down that path. And it sounds like you
No,
didn't.
that wasn't. I mean, so my dad ended up moving out here, and so we were living together. It just, I was a businessman.
Yeah.
I mean, were there perks? Yeah, there was. It was a good time. It was good to be
Yeah.
my friend also. But I wanted to get married, and I thought I had met like most of the. Silly to say this out loud now, but at the time it made sense. I spent a lot of time in Scottsdale, and I was like, I want to open a Carmine's in Scottsdale. So I sold this Carmine's to my manager with the idea of moving to Scottsdale to open up Carmine's on Penn in Scottsdale, and I couldn't sell my house. I had a townhouse over on Kennedy Golf Course. Any offer that I would have gotten on that, my whole life would have been different. Couldn't sell it, even though I sold my restaurant, made a lot of money.
So, and walk me through the sale of your restaurant really quick. So, did you sell it to them in a lump sum, or did you owner finance that to your
Owner
manager?
financed.
So you owner financed it. I've done that before too. What were the details of the deal and the structure?
So the kid who started as a waiter, I made him into manager. He married into Luprino Foods.
Okay.
You know that name?
Yeah, but they are more in the they create food and sell it to U.S. Foods or Cisco or to a distributor, basically, right?
They make them 100% of the cheese
Yeah.
that goes to Papa John's, Pizza Hut,
Yeah.
Domino's, local, privately held company up on 38th.
Yeah.
And so he married in, and so he ended up getting money. So he gave me a significant down payment, and then I financed over 3 years.
Okay. Did you do a 10-year note with a 3-year balloon, or you just did a 3-year
Just 3 year.
amortization,
Just
3 year
3 year,
off?
3 year.
And then what kind of interest rate did you?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever
Maybe
the
it was
going
nothing.
rate was.
Okay. All right.
No. No, I wanted him to be successful, and I
Yeah.
thought I was going to be living in Scottsdale. And the reason why I didn't keep this restaurant, because back then there was no internet.
Yeah.
It's crazy to say out loud, but to own a restaurant here and live there seemed like a terrible idea.
Yeah. And so this was probably in the mid 90s or so.
Yeah, this is '98.
Okay.
So then I was in this town, and I was moving to Scottsdale. Couldn't move there. Ended up getting stuck here. So a year of not doing anything, just playing golf. And I'm like, I have to open another business. That's who I am.
Yeah.
I can't not do something. I can't play golf every day. So I opened a second restaurant, and then a third, and so on and so forth. And
Is Carmine's on Penn still around
Yeah.
to this day? Does your manager still own it?
no.
Okay.
We're on the fourth owner now, and they did about 2 years ago open a second location McGregor Square by Coors Field.
Yeah, McGregor Square, for the people out there that don't know, is a new development that's right by Coors Field that's amazing in the structure, with the architecture, and does draw a ton of people, but it's filled with retail spots, and I think there's a hotel in there, restaurants, all of that good stuff. So there's a new Carmine's over in McGregor Square. So then the restaurant business and the service industry kept you going a little bit, so you started another restaurant. Didn't move to Scottsdale. It sounded like you were in a relationship too, or wanted to get married.
So eventually when I had my second restaurant, which was called Uncle Sam's, which was on Holly and Orchard, it was family style American. I met my now wife of 25 years, and so everything happens for a reason. I just ended up staying here, and
you've still got the townhouse in Denton.
Geez, I mean, we got rid of that.
Yeah,
And
so
then
you were finally able to sell it.
Yeah, but it was easily a year too late. It's fine. What's funny is now my daughter lives in Scottsdale.
Yeah, it's ironic.
Yeah. And then Uncle Sam's never made money. I had a bar in Union Station, did well, but it was a trendy bar. So it stopped being trendy after a while.
Would you just own one restaurant and go from one to the next one and kind of buy and sell?
So-
or how many did you own at the most, at the peak?
Two. When I had
Okay.
Uncle Sam's and A Bar together.
Okay.
One was an early and one was a late night place because I'm very hands-on. So I worked the dinner shift at Uncle Sam's, go downtown to A Bar, and then go work a bar scene till 3, 4 in the morning. I'm a worker.
Yeah.
I like to be busy. And then, I was married with the bar, and my wife was pregnant. I'm like, okay, gotta get out of this bar business stuff. This is not working. Opened up restaurants in Cherry Creek. I had Go Fish Grill and Indigo.
What a type.
Those didn't really work out well. And then I bought an existing restaurant called 730 South in Bonnie Bray in 2006. And that was the last restaurant that I ended up owning. And I closed that in 2017 to go do what I'm currently doing.
Okay, so you were in the restaurant industry and bar industry for just over 20 years.
29.
29 years. Okay, almost 30 years. So almost
As a
3
manager and
decades.
owner.
Okay. What are some of the things that you learned? What are the biggest insights that you learned from owning so many different restaurants?
It's a horrible business.
Yeah.
And you got to be an idiot to be in it. No offense.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And
I mean, you got to be dropped on your head as a baby or something.
Yeah.
To go into a field where you know the failure rate
is high.
high. It's
Yeah.
the highest.
Yeah. What were your percentages of food sales to bar and liquor sales?
Well, every business was different.
Yeah.
I mean, at my last restaurant was 70-30.
Okay, 70 food, 30
Yeah.
liquor.
And then I had a bar that was the opposite.
Yeah,
You know.
in my experience, the bar,
Yeah.
we have a lot better profit margins on our liquor sales and our beer sales and everything rather than the food sales. And so having those numbers switched and, selling 75% liquor as opposed to 25% food, we've been able to sustain a little bit better margins and be
Yeah.
more successful with those types of things. But it is a very difficult industry where, I don't know the exact facts, but where a majority of companies fail after, or before 5 years.
The last I heard, 75% after 3.
Okay. And now it's kind of ironic because you promote restaurants and kind of work for them now in a different way, but you use social media as a platform to help all of your clients and customers.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So, did you get into that in 2017?
Well, the ironic thing is that I'm like the last guy who wanted to be on social media. I absolutely believe social media is the worst thing to happen to this planet. It's worse than nuclear weapons. More people will die from social media than from nuclear.
Then from maybe smoking or drinking or
I mean,
obesity
the suicides,
or whatever.
I mean,
Yeah.
the stuff. It's bad stuff. Having said that, can't get rid of it. It is what it is. The cat's out of the bag, right? So in 2017, I was talking to this guy about how miserable I was in the restaurant business, not seeing my kids grow up, working hard, really hard, things breaking all the time, employee issues,
Yeah, there's always something.
always
right?
something. And I'm like, I'm relatively smart and I'm really hardworking. There's got to be something else I could do. I had no idea what it was. And, at 50 years old, it's really hard to learn a new career. And, nobody wants to hire old people. But this guy who owns this company who I work for now, he's like, and it's a marketing company. He says, we don't understand restaurants. We don't speak restaurant. I would hire you tomorrow. He goes, sell the restaurant. So it took me a while to find somebody, because my rent was $14,000 a month, to find
And
somebody
your last restaurant.
to take on that lease. But eventually I found somebody and they paid me for the FF&E. So I was able to get out of there relatively unscathed. And I'd never worked in an office in my life, not 1 minute in an office. I didn't know how to work a laptop, like nothing. I knew nothing about social media. So I worked at this company in the tech center, and he said to me, create whatever you want, do whatever you want. And this is now 7 years later, and he was true to his word. I created something out of nothing, and now I have 100,000 followers on social media, on CBS every Friday night, 1 million likes on TikTok. I run over 30 restaurant social medias with my team. So
Wow, that's really incredible. So, what's the name of the company that you work for now?
it's called PIN Business Network.
Okay.
PIN stands for Power in Numbers.
Okay.
And we own a building off Arapahoe Road, and all different departments there do different things. But our little thing is our own little thing. OCN Eats is me and my team of 5. And literally, they never tell us to do anything or not do anything. They just let us do our thing. So I'm an entrepreneur still, but without the risk.
Yeah, so you're an entrepreneur, so to speak, inside your company.
Never heard that word
and,
before.
And they'll let you, so you're an entrepreneur inside that existing company,
Yeah.
and they'll let you kind of do whatever you want. So you took your, let's not say love for the restaurant business, but your
Love,
experience.
no, it's love.
Yeah.
I love the restaurant business.
And then, and you tie it to the social media aspect of it. And so you'll make clips for, was it TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of those platforms?
And CBS.
And CBS, and then promote the restaurants that work for you. And then how do you usually get all of your clients to come and use your services?
So, it's from the beginning, it was I would go to restaurants, buy my meal, and, look at their social media and say, do you guys need any help? It was started off with just me for 5 years. And I had about 10 clients, and it was very manageable. It was what I could maintain by myself. And then the pandemic hits, and I'm like, there's no way, nobody wants to spend money on marketing right now. They're
Yeah.
all holding it tight.
Yeah.
Everybody's so afraid.
That's one of the first things to go when you start,
Still
pulling
is.
in the reins. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing they cut when times get tough, which of course should be the opposite. You should put more money towards it, but I've been in their shoes, I know. I did the same thing.
Well, and when you were running your restaurants, or when you talk to other restaurant owners, what percentage of their income do you think they should put towards marketing efforts?
It's funny, the industry standard is 4%,
Yeah.
but nobody does it.
Yeah. So if you're doing $1 million, you should spend for $40,000 a year,
Yeah.
right, on your marketing efforts,
Yeah.
and hopefully that should turn into a lot more income,
Yeah.
right? So
Have you heard that number too, 4%?
I think that it just depends. I'm more of like a 10% guy. I like to put a lot more money into marketing, and we have some people in-house that do our social media marketing, but they work for multiple different companies that we work with and that we own. And I think, Arnold Schwarzenegger had a good quote. He would say, and I think that, I can't remember where he heard it from, but it was like, early to bed, early to rise, work like hell, and advertise. And so that's one of the things that I've kind of took to heart. And I think that I hate it when people don't know that you're here, and it's all about the exposure and the awareness and getting them in and making them your customer, and then you can get a lot of regulars and you can get a lot of repeat business. You can get a lot of word of mouth, and the word of mouth is the best, cheapest form of advertising. It sounds like you got a lot of that when you started Carmine's way back in the beginning.
Never spent a penny on advertising, not once.
So, and that's really impressive and a testament to you with how you changed the industry and built a great business that way.
Now times are different now.
Yeah.
So when I was a marketing major, there was no internet, so everything I learned in college didn't help me. And then I was not into social media, but when I closed my last restaurant, I didn't have Instagram or Facebook for that restaurant. I didn't really understand social media for restaurants, and it wasn't that big yet. But now we're in 2025, right? So how are you going to put butts in seats of your restaurant? TV? No. Radio? God, no.
Yeah.
Newspapers? What are newspapers?
Right.
Magazines? Nobody reads anymore.
Yeah.
So your only option really is social media besides word of mouth. And word of mouth, how do you... So that's what I do. I put butts in seats of restaurants. And how do I do that? By making food porn, drink porn, and telling their story.
Yeah.
A variety of each. So a lot of people restaurants, they're afraid of social media. They say, I don't have time for it, I don't know how to do it. So I teach social media. I've taught hundreds of restaurants. It's one of my services. I'm actually doing a workshop. Preferred Performance Food Group has hired me to do their food show and to teach their restaurants how to do social media. Because I absolutely believe if I could do it, a monkey could do it. Like, it is not that complicated. You just have to get over, like, I remember when I first got on Instagram, absolutely intimidated, didn't know what I was doing. Same with TikTok. It's really not that complicated. I could teach people, and I do, in an hour how to do social media. But you have to run with it after. That's the problem. Like, I teach people, and then I look at their social media, and they don't do the work.
Yeah.
Like,
what are some of the key aspects that you need to be consistent and to get views, likes, and people to actually be engaged with the content that you put out?
So after I teach, which is, like I said, it's an hour. I said, now that's anybody, you could learn this, but now you have to do the work. So what I ask every restaurant to do, put 15 minutes a day on their calendars set aside for social media. 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's
nothing.
all it takes.
Yeah.
They don't do it.
So, and in that 15 minutes, what do you want them to do? Just post a video or what?
I want them to, first check your DMs.
Okay.
People, like, when I take over a restaurant, when they hire me, I'll look at their DMs and like, holy you guys haven't checked DMs in months. People are asking about your policies, or they're trying to make reservations, or so you have to check it every day. And then when people tag you in stories, well, stories only last 24 hours. So if you don't look at it every day, you lose these stories that people gave you free advertising for. And you could have shared that to your following, but you lost it because you only had 24 hours. So if you don't check it every day, you lose it. So what I believe in social media is thumb-stopping content.
Okay. And what do you mean by thumb stopping?
I invented that.
Okay.
So you're going through your feed, you have to get them to stop their thumb.
Okay.
If it doesn't stop their thumb, which graphics will never get people to stop their thumbs.
So you think it's videos?
I mean,
More.
I know. I do this 24 hours a day.
And it's by creating food porn. And what you mean by food and drink porn, that's showing visibly good pictures of food.
You got to make people hungry.
Yeah, got to make people thirsty.
Or people love hearing stories.
Yeah.
You started this business because you're married, you got kids, dogs. They have very short attention spans, but they want to know who the people are behind the business. People want to support people now more than ever.
Yeah.
And they don't want to support, some people don't care, but they don't want to support faceless chains.
Or big corporations.
So sometimes they can't tell who you are. You could be a chain, so show your face, show your kids, show your dogs. Tell them why you started the business. I have trouble getting restaurant owners to do this. I'll admit it. A lot of them are like, no, I don't want to show my face.
Yeah.
But every time they do, which I make them do, like specifically for Christmas, every year, bare minimum, thank you for your support. We appreciate it. Happy holidays, blah, blah, blah. Keep it short. They see a face thanking them. That has to be done. I would love to be doing it more often. But when you see, then this happens every day for me. So I have my own platforms, OCN Eats, on the major platforms, but then the restaurants I run too. So when you take, I'll give you an example, Gaetano's is an example. Legendary restaurant in Denver. Been around 70 years on 38th.
Oh, yeah.
I was eating there and I said to the guy, and I looked at his social media, it was horrible. Absolutely some of the worst I've ever seen. And it doesn't make you hungry, it doesn't make you thirsty, you're not learning really.
Didn't tell a story.
Doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yes. So I said, who does your social media? Because you gotta be careful. You know, maybe he's doing it, maybe it's his wife, maybe it's his daughter. He's like, oh, I pay this company to do it. I'm like, you need to fire them right this second. I'm a New Yorker, I don't mince words.
Yep.
And he did. It didn't make you want to eat there. And so like the last post from the person who was doing it reached, and reaches is how many people saw the ad, the post.
Yeah.
Every post is an ad. So it was like 200. And the next post, which was mine, was like 2,000. With the same exact amount of followers, you went from 200 to 2,000.
Yeah, 10 times return.
Just from going from, I can't even describe what it was. It was just bad. To food porn. Simple, make your food look good. People, when they drive by your restaurant these days, or they hear about it,
Both fun.
they're not going to your website. They're going to your social media.
Yeah.
And they're like...
And they're looking at the reviews and everything else,
No,
too.
no. Yes, but I'm talking about when they go to your social media, they want to know what you do, what kind of food it is, what it looks like, what the vibe is. And in 2 seconds, when they look at specifically your Instagram,
You just say it.
they'll know whether they want to eat there or not. If the food looks good, if the vibe is what they're in the mood for that night. If they go to your page and all they see are graphics, 2 seconds, they're gone. They're not eating there. They made up their mind. You have a chance to convince them to eat at your restaurant. And when you look at any of my restaurant clients, you start drooling.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to do is make you hungry and drool. And it's not that complicated. So when you go, I believe, from any advertising, you're going to convert X percent of people from seeing the ad to eating in your restaurant, right? The better the post, the more people will come in. I go with a percentage of 1% off an ad or post, because everybody can do the math on 1%, and I don't think it's really that crazy of a number.
Yeah, so are you saying that if you get 100 views on that picture, you want one person to come into your restaurant? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I said
Basically getting a 1% return.
So when I said 200, he would have gotten 2 people to eat at that restaurant. When he
Get
hires
that.
me, 2,000, 20 people.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, and how much do you charge for this service?
I've got different levels.
Okay.
I have bronze, silver, gold, platinum, starting from 1,000 a month all the way to 2,000 a month. I am introducing a new package for people who can't even afford the 1,000 a month. I think I'm going to charge it $600 for this new package, content only package. So I'll come into your restaurant once a month, me or my team, not necessarily me, and you'll make 5 dishes and 1 drink. And of those 6 items, we'll make 6 beautiful pictures and 6 reels. And then all you have to do is post it and write a little bit of verbiage. And then, because for us, the minutia, so our contracts are all the same. We do 12, in terms of bare minimum, we do 12 posts a month to your Facebook and Instagram. So every other day, basically. But it's so hard for us. So, for 30 clients, you'd start doing the math. 30 times 12, like that's a lot of posts to have to do every day.
Yeah.
So we want to get away from that model and get into the model of, here you go, you do the posting. And
Yeah.
we just come,
And work on it just 15 minutes a day.
that's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And engage with people too.
Yeah.
You get out of social media what you put into it.
Yeah. Did you learn all of this were you self-taught all this stuff with social media, or was the company you work for with OCN, did they kind of teach you how to do this? They basically just said, go out and do it or figure something out. And you just ran with it, and this is where you're at now. And you've got how many clients now?
I think 32.
Okay.
We do the best restaurants in Denver are my clients.
Okay. And you can see one thing that I try to do with our advertising too is see if we can get a physical numbered return. And it's hard to see
course you
that.
do.
It's hard to see, like, if I'm putting money into print ads and it has a coupon for, a buy one, get one free entree or something like that. If you get those coupons in here, you can actually
Yes.
measure that. How do you measure
Can't.
stuff with social media? Can't measure it at all.
Nope.
So
But you have to have it. You
You
know
do,
that, right?
yeah. So
So you
it's-
have a choice. You can either have shitty or professional.
yeah. So
So we're for the people who are either tired of doing it themselves, like Rosenberg's Bagels recently became a client. Josh had been doing it himself for 10 years. And I could tell. I knew right away. It wasn't terrible, but it was inconsistent.
yeah.
And so if the revenue is there, it's nice to have one less thing to worry about in the restaurant business.
Yeah, definitely. And then will your customers, can they see like a 5, 10%, 20% increase in sales after working
No.
with you for 3 months or a year or anything like that?
Every single client is different.
Okay. And you basically look at it on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, and also, depends on their package. So entry-level packages, we just run their socials. The more you pay, the more you get from me.
Yeah.
So you get to be on CBS with me. You get to be on my Instagram, my TikTok, my YouTube, Facebook, depending on how much you pay. And more services than that. But the more
Yeah.
you pay, the more you get.
And when you say on CBS, is that channel 4, correct? So you're on, and is that on the news, or do you have your own show?
Not yet.
Not yet.
So every Friday at 4:20, I didn't come up with the time.
Ironic to be in Colorado.
It was for the first year. It was called Dining Out with Larry, and we've been doing it for 2 years.
Dining Out with Larry.
They came up with the name. They didn't even approve. It is what it is.
Will you do this at different restaurants?
Yeah, we've done 100 episodes,
Okay.
and they changed it after a year to it's now called Your Local Dish, which fits more with CBS, and they have all these Your Local stuff. So I eat with the anchor Michaelia. So tomorrow we'll be at 2 restaurants tomorrow, and we pre-film them, and then she edits them, does a voiceover, and they air at 4:20, and then I take that same show and I put it on my socials as well. Why not? Good content's good content.
Yeah.
It's about a 3-minute piece. The funny thing is, I'm the last guy who ever thought he'd be in front of a camera. I'm like, I wouldn't, plays in high school, I might beat those kids up, but I wouldn't be in the play.
And now you're in front of the camera every day of your life, pretty much.
Every day, multiple times. And how it basically happened was during the pandemic, the guy that owns the company is like, all these restaurants are going to go out of business. I need you to do 3 podcasts a day to try and save them. I'm like, what? Podcasts? I don't listen to podcasts. I don't do podcasts. I'm like, well, no. And then he walks away, and I'm like, besides my paycheck, I have to be respectful and do it. So I came up with a show called What's for Lunch. And I'm like, who's going to be the host? I guess I have to do it. Who else is going to do it? So the concept was, and we did it in the kitchen, in the office, in the tech center. Restaurants would come, bring me lunch every day, and we'd talk about what they were doing, 50% open, if they're open, what they're doing, what they're not doing.
Yeah.
Try and save these restaurants. And me in the office would get a free lunch out of it. And this was a 10-minute live show on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. And then we'd post it to these channels too. And we ended up doing 560 episodes of
Wow.
this.
So you did it for almost 2 years.
More than that.
Wow.
I bet it was 3 years. And you name it, they were on it. Everybody wanted to be on this show. From from the highest up, food trucks, everything in between. We let on a few chains, like Ocean Prime wanted to come on. Like, I'm not going to say no to that. You want to
Yeah.
feed my office steak and lobster? And we did that. And Raising Cane's came. And I'm like, if they think that I'm important enough that they want to come on, I guess I won't say no to them. I made a few exceptions. But the point is, I was horrible at first, of course.
Yeah.
But 560 episodes would be weird if you didn't get good at it,
Right.
better at it.
How long do you think that it took you to become comfortable and get better at it and be more consistent with it and actually see some good results and make your customers happy with what you've got?
I mean, they were all happy with it because
Yeah.
I did it for free.
Yeah, and it was only 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, and it was, it's
Just feed you.
somebody trying to help them.
Yeah.
I mean, who else was trying to help them? But the intention was 100% to try and help. But then, as the pandemic was winding down, people were like, oh, those guys, they did nice things for us. We need help now with social media. So that it came back to us.
Yeah.
But it was not the intention.
Gotcha. Well, that's cool. And so,
I was going to tell you. So the first time I was on network TV with CBS, sweat was like pouring down. I was so nervous. It was live in studio.
Yeah.
And, not in my comfort zone. Now I dial it in. Like, it's so easy for me. Like, I just
Yeah.
show off. It's not just like anything in life. And yeah, what I learned. My sister did plays in high school. She was very theatrical, and so she would give me constructive criticism. What I realized is you have to smile a lot and bring the energy. Like, I'm kind of monotone in general. I don't know what I sound like today, but like, you have to be this person. And the way I described it to every guest who would come on my show is Beyonce. If you ever hear Beyonce interview, she's very quiet and demure. But when she's on stage, she has a different character. She calls herself Sasha Fierce.
yeah,
Nobody wants to see this demure person on stage.
right?
So same with me. Nobody wants to see is monotone. Let's go eat this food.
Yeah.
So
You've got to bring the energy, you got to bring the feelings, you got to bring the excitement to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
And because I'm a restaurant owner, I have a unique perspective
Yeah.
that buys me both from the restaurant owners and the public. They have trust in me, and
Yeah.
I show my face,
Yeah.
which a lot of people who do. I'm not an influencer, but influencers, they don't show their face a lot. You'll notice, like, they'll show the food, but I show my face because I stand behind my brand, just like
Yeah.
the way I say restaurant owners should show their faces.
Yeah, definitely. If you could go back and look at your entire entrepreneurship journey and where you're at now with life, is there anything that you would have changed along the way?
I'm not that guy. I don't really look back like that. I've made mistakes, and that's, as an entrepreneur, you're gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
You're gonna have failures. It's no way. I mean, my first restaurant, we were talking about, I turned 75 grand into $1 million
Yeah.
in a couple of years. That doesn't happen.
No.
But when you start off with that, you're gonna think, wow, I can do this every time. And the second restaurant didn't do that well. And
Yeah.
So
Well, your perseverance and your attitude and everything that you're showing and talking about today is really admirable, that you've stuck with it, that you've, done what you've been able to do. You've pivoted. You got into something that was uncomfortable, that you didn't know anything about, and you really persevered throughout everything. And look where the business has taken you. And now you've got 1 million views on TikTok. You've got over 30 clients that you work with, and it sounds to me like your business is really thriving, and you're doing something that you love to do, and you're actually giving value to many people.
So the number one goal when I got out of the restaurant business, I didn't know what it was going to be, but I wanted to help restaurants.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it would look like. I don't know how to help them, but I had paid Living Social and Groupon and City Search, and all these people would never help me. So much money that I wanted to build something that actually truly help people.
Yeah.
And I think I've accomplished that.
Yeah, well, it's very nice to hear your entrepreneurship journey. I appreciate you coming on this show and talking to me and spending a little bit of time. And your story is very interesting and exciting. And we appreciate working with you as well. So thank you for everything that you do for us and for all the other restaurant owners out there pushing the brand, teaching them and helping them just get better. So thank you so much for being here.
I have two final things. One, I don't know what camera to look at, but happy birthday, Lila. It's my baby girl's 22nd birthday. And you guys promised me some pizza. Where's the pizza?
Yeah, let's get some pizza here. So
Thank you,
thank you,
Chris.
sir. Appreciate it. Hey, thanks, Larry, for coming down and being on the show. I really liked your story and how you transitioned from a profitable, good restaurant and being in that industry to doing something that you have never done before and thinking that it would never be for you and becoming somebody that was outside of your comfort zone and really making it a success, and then knowing everything about social media. I think that is really a testament to the person that you are, and shows your grit and your perseverance in getting those things done. So thank you for being on the show. And for you out there, please like and subscribe this video. It helps us out a lot. It helps get us bigger guests, and we really appreciate everything that you guys do for us. Thank you for watching, and remember, get crispy.
Here's to 5 o'clock somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Here's to a good tan and a buzz with the good ones that we love. Here's to 2 for 1 on ladies' night. Here's to the 19th hole. Anchors down and bottoms up. It's almost time to start the show.